Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Today marks 9 years since the heinous assassination of senior journalist Lasantha Wickrematunge.
Lasantha worked tirelessly and fearlessly, using his pen to safeguard the people's right to information.
9 years later, why have authorities failed to hold anyone to account for Lasantha's killing?
Why are we still asking the question, who killed Lasantha?
January of 2009 dawned with a terror attack on the MTV-MBC studio complex in Depanema when armed thugs caused immense damage. Among the first to arrive at the scene following the attack on the night of the 6th of January was Lasantha Wickrematunge. Lasantha, who served as the editor-in-chief of the Sunday Leader at the time, became a well-known face to TV audiences across the country via the Newsline program telecast on the MTV-MBC network.
We must rise against these acts of terror and thuggery. This is not the first instance that such an incident has occurred. It may be that this is not the last either. Nevertheless, we are prepared to face the situation with caution. I must state clearly that all media institutions must be prepared to face this together.
Lasantha's prophecy that this would not be the last attack on the media came true a few days later when he himself became the target of an act of terror. 2 days after the attack on the MTV-MBC complex, on the morning of the 8th of January, Lasantha Wickrematunge was assassinated near the Attidiya Model Primary School. Who killed Lasantha Wickrematunge and who ordered the killing? Does the following statement made by then National Defence spokesperson Kelly Rambukwala testify to the fact that the rulers at the time were aware of the circumstances leading to Lasantha's assassination? An extract from the Daily Mirror reads as follows. The government yesterday said it will reveal important information regarding those behind the killing of the Sunday Leader editor-in-chief Lasantha Wickrematunge and the attack on the MTV-MBC studios on February 15th, a day after the scheduled provincial council elections. Speaking at a media briefing held yesterday, Minister and Defence spokesperson Kelly Rambukwala said the government was well aware of who were behind the attacks but would not divulge any details till the said date, as investigations by the special police teams were still in progress. When questions were posed by the international media regarding Lasantha's assassination, this was the response of the authorities at the time.
Who is Lasantha Wickrematunge? He is just another person. There are so many murders in everywhere. In the whole world there are murders. Why are you asking about Lasantha? Who is Lasantha? He is somebody who was writing to a tabloid.
Yeah, but you know what's been said.
I'm not concerned about that.
But you know
the people are panicking. Why are people are so worried about one man? The LTT killed so many people. Why are you not asking about them? Who is Lasantha? Tell me, what's important of him?
Following a line of investigation into phone calls made from 5 phone numbers, the CID prepared to apprehend a member of military intelligence, Kanthigedara Piyavansa, on suspicion of involvement in the murder. However, before the CID could act on the matter, the investigation was entrusted to the Terrorism Investigation Department, which acted to arrest both Piyavansa and the owner of the NIC through which the phone numbers had been registered. The owner of the phone numbers died in custody at the Valikata prison. Kanthigedara Piyavansa was later released and a case filed against his arrest. The court determined that Piyavansa's fundamental rights had been violated through his arrest. Prior to coming into power, a key campaign slogan of the Yahapalne government was that Lasantha's killers would be brought to book.
It is at a time like this that we feel the loss of someone like Lasantha Wickrematunge. Lasantha dedicated his life to safeguard democracy and he sacrificed his life for this. The report of the Lessons Learned Commission of the government contains a proposal that there is a need to investigate and take action in the matter of all journalists who were killed or abducted. Thereby, I hope that without wasting more time, the government will at least now commence investigating the killing of Lasantha Wickrematunge.
Lasantha Wickrematunge ghātanaya ගැන හොයලා බලන්න.
Following the election of the current government, the investigation into Lasantha's killing was entrusted to the CID once again on the 23rd of January 2015, which led to the arrest of another member of military intelligence, Premananda Udalagama, in connection with the abduction and intimidation of Lasantha's driver. The suspect was identified in an identification parade and later released by court on bail. Meanwhile, Lasantha's body was exhumed, and following an examination it was proved that the information provided in the initial judicial medical report was false. The first judicial medical report cited gunshot wounds as the cause of death. However, after the body was exhumed, it was established that the cause of death was stabbing with a sharp object. The apparent conspiracy of secrecy to suppress information on the investigation continues to be successful. 9 years to this day, Lasantha's family and friends continue to maintain a vigil at his graveside in Borelle every year on the anniversary of his death. Almost a decade after the passing of a guardian of society who used his pen to great effect, we are still left with the question, when will Lasantha receive justice?
3 years since the birth of the Yahapalana government. 9 years since the heinous murder of the fearless Lasantha Wickrematunge. The question still remains, who murdered Lasantha Wickrematunge? Who ordered the hit on Lasantha Wickrematunge? On the 6th of January 2009, they came for us. They put Claymore bombs inside the MTV MBC complex in Department of Pandipitiya, and they vandalized it. They destroyed it. It was an act of barbaric terrorism. Lasantha Wickrematunge, our friend, was one of the first people to come to our studio complex and denounce this crime. 48 hours later, they came for him. They attempted to silence us before they came for him. 48 hours later, they took Lasantha Wickrematunge, our friend, away from us. They yanked a fearless son of Sri Lanka away from this country. Now today, the Island newspaper published an article. I would like to quote that article to you. It says, Premier proud of hurdles overcome by the Yahapalana government. Let me read a quote from this article, which is based on a statement made by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. This is regarding Lasantha Wickrematunge's murder. We vowed then that his killers would face justice, as would the perpetrators of so many acts of violence perpetrated against media personnel in the dark days of the former regime. The government remains committed to this goal, which is an essential step in allowing this country to permanently rise out of the threat of lawlessness and rule of law. Who are we kidding? This is a typical political response. They have been making statements like this since before they came into power. But 3 years after coming into power, they have at their disposal the police. They have at their disposal the CID, the Attorney General's Department, and other law enforcement agencies. Why are they still dragging their feet with regard to the murder of Lasantha Wickrematunge? Can the people be satisfied by statements like this? More importantly, can the people who make these statements satisfy themselves by making statements like this? There is a possibility that the masterminds or the killers of Lasantha Wickrematunge could be watching this very broadcast. Are you satisfied with what you have done? Why is the Yahapalana government so slow in fulfilling this promise that they used to come into power? Is it because the government is covering for a third party? Or is it because someone inside is connected to this heinous act? In the end, it remains. Lasantha was one of us, yet he was in a class of his own. Lasantha was our friend and a fierce foe of the public enemy. Lasantha was always unafraid and unbowed. He will always remain in our hearts, and he will never be forgotten.